Welcome back, my students. I'm Ellie at EnglishFunZone.com, and if you're new to the channel, welcome. Today, we're going to be practicing the past perfect continuous tense. So let's get started. So the past perfect continuous tense is something that happened in the past and continued to another point in the past. I know, blah, 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 blah. So let's look at some examples.
Okay, so with the past perfect continuous tense, we're still using been and the verb with ing. So we have had, been, verb or action, ing. Now let's look at some examples. I'll say the sentences and then you repeat them. I had been working. You had been studying. Let's try some negatives. I hadn't been sleeping very well. You hadn't been going to work on time. Remember to use that contraction. You can say, if you want to stress, not. I had not been sleeping very well. Let's practice a couple of questions. Had you been drinking? Remember, you're going to start with had. Had you been drinking? Had they been waiting long? 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 Remember that waiting can be pronounced waiting. Had they been waiting long? Now remember, don't forget to use those contractions. I'd been, you'd been, he'd been, she'd been, we'd been, they'd been. Let's practice some sentences using those contractions. You'd been working very hard. She'd been playing tennis. We'd been going out to eat every Friday. We'd been going out to eat every Friday. They'd been working in the garden. Now let's try some negatives. You hadn't been coming to work. He hadn't been doing well in school. She hadn't been calling anyone. It hadn't been working. We hadn't been going out to dinner. How long had you been waiting to catch the bus? How long had you been waiting to catch the bus? They had been working since 8 o'clock this morning. I had to sit down because I had been standing all day. I had to sit down because I had been standing all day. How long had you been studying English before you moved to the States? How long had you been studying English before you moved to the States? Here's an interesting fact. If you do not include words like for 5 minutes or for 2 weeks or since Friday, English speakers choose to use the past continuous than the past perfect continuous. So be careful because this can change the meaning of the sentence. Past continuous emphasizes interrupted actions, whereas past perfect continuous emphasizes a duration of time before something in the past. I know, blah, 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 blah. What does that mean? He was tired because he was exercising. He was tired because he was exercising. The sentence here emphasizes that he was tired because he was exercising at that moment. He was tired because he had been exercising. This sentence emphasizes that he was tired because he had been exercising over a period of time. It is possible that he is still exercising, or he just finished exercising. To show the cause and effect of some action,
using the past perfect continuous tense is a good idea. Let's look at some examples.
Jason was tired because he had been jogging. Mary was tired because she'd been jogging. She'd been jogging. Bob failed the test because he hadn't been attending class. Hadn't been attending class.
Hi, my students. I just realized that I really hadn't taught you how to use it had as a contraction. It's one of the more difficult sounds to say in a sentence. So we're going to practice now it had, but the contraction, it'd. When saying this contraction, we're going to shorten that T sound. It'd. We're going to say it did.
It did. It'd.
It'd been. Let's say it again.
It'd been. It'd been. It'd been. It'd been working. It had been working. It had been working. It had been running. It had been running. It had been running.
I think it's helpful to practice it had been because there are other ways to use those two words together. For example, it had been a long time. It had been.
It had been.
Now remember, I'm using an American pronunciation. If you're trying to do British English, then you need a British English teacher because they say bean. Okay, I hope that helps. Let's practice all of the contractions with had.
She'd been. She'd been working. He'd been running. I'd been cleaning. I'd been cleaning. You'd been sleeping. You'd been sleeping. You'd been sleeping. We'd been playing soccer. We'd been playing soccer. They'd been eating. They'd been eating. They'd been eating.
Well, my students, that's it for this video. I hope it's helped. Now remember to come back again next week because I'm going to be mixing those tenses. Woo! That'll be fun. Okay, so I'm having a drawing for my students. So everyone here has a chance to win a free premium membership to LING. Now I've posted the link in the description box below so you can sign up. It's free to do so. But you must also sign up at EnglishFunZone.com, which is also free. And there's a lot of free information there as well. So what do you get? You get the 1-month premium membership with LING, and I'm going to throw in an intonation lesson. That's right, a free intonation lesson from me and a 1-month trial subscription premium to LING. So do that. Go to those websites, sign up, and then next week I'm going to take all of the email addresses and I'm going to pull 3 names from that bowl or that hat. Okay? All right. So go ahead and do that, and I will see you next week. Well, you'll see me. I'm Ellie at EnglishFunZone.com, and as always, thank you for watching, and until next time, keep practicing. Bye.